No, honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense.
They say many garbage things.
You don't know what you're going to get.
Melodrama upon melodrama! This is a utter, shameful, disgraceful piece of nonsense!
Because he was miles off it yesterday.
You'll learn a lot more if you listen rather than talk all
Plenty
the
of
time.
time, no problem.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a No Nonsense podcast. Now, it's been, 4 years of us doing this pod?
Yep.
That's what people call it. Pod is short for podcast for any new listeners out there. It's an industry term. 4 years of the pod. There's been plenty of times, actually, when I think about it, that Man United versus Arsenal has meant like nothing. And you weren't looking forward to it in terms of like the quality of the game. And when you look at this weekend past fixture, Man United's, 14th?
14th now, yeah. Maybe even 13th.
Maybe, not out of relegation. Arsenal are in second. In theory, they should both have something to play for. But for whatever reason, and maybe this is just recency bias, as I said, but it felt like this meant the least it's meant in 4 years in terms of Arsenal versus Man United.
I mean, honestly, it felt like the least it's meant in like 20 years. Because
I haven't been tracking for 20 years, but for the last 4 years, we've been here for like, oh, fucking hell. This should have been a big fixture, but now it's not. Like, this one just felt like this is fucking done. This is like pointless.
Because it's just like, we all know, it's a waste of time. Let's just skip to the end of the season, lads. The way it is the way it's going to be. Nothing's changing in the next few weeks.
Man United want to play the Europa League. That's all they want to do.
Even the manager doesn't, to be fair.
Well, that's all they have left to, like in terms of if you're a fan or a player, like that's the one. Again, assuming that relegation is not on the cards. And it's the exact same, but the opposite for Arsenal. Yeah, they're second, but like at this point, it's not mathematically done, but all over bar the mathematics, essentially, is the league title. They just want to play Champions League. They want to fast forward 3 weeks when they have injured players back, maybe, and they make a run at Real Madrid in the Champions League, And yeah, both, you'd say, neither of those things will happen, lads, so you shouldn't be looking forward to anything. But they're certainly not looking forward to, the hum and drum of the Premier League.
Yeah. I mean, especially Arsenal coming to Old Trafford, because even though United are in 14th, it's like, they'll kind of be up for this one, though. They don't it's Arsenal, they'll know, and it'll be a big game for them. But like you said, it just meant so little, really. So it must have been a really annoying game for everyone, where it's like you have to get up for this one. Yeah,
I mean, how would you rate the game as a spectacle? Just in terms of, was there anything? Okay, they are up for this, even though it doesn't mean anything. They are up for this.
Well, what I thought was interesting was the second half, especially, was probably one of the best halves they've played under Amorim. Like, you could see the things are clicking, and that made me think Arsenal are not in this game, really. Their heads are elsewhere. Because it's like, it's hardly just clicked all of a sudden in this game when they're so low on the table. It's like, they're not really trying as hard as they could, I think, to stop those wing backs.
Well, it was the coward Bruno Fernandes who put United in front. The gutless slime of a man that is unfit to be captain, Bruno Fernandes. I mean, that we played a clip 2 weeks ago or a week ago. It's not even like since then he's gone on to, like, he's been doing it kind of all the season.
For years.
I'm like,
he's been dragging the club along for years.
Well, that was the thing that Ian Wright was like, when he said to Roy Keane when he had that outburst, he was like, well, he saved them so many times. He's like, save them from what? Save them from what? And it's like, what, save them 1 point ahead in the table, 1 place ahead of the table, 1 place below the table, he reckons, without Bruno Fernandes' goal. I don't know. I hard to kind of quantify these things. You know what I mean? It's hard to say like what goals mean, because in theory, okay, Bruno Fernandes is on the pitch, someone else is there, someone else will score the goal. Maybe they move fucking, Garnacho into number 10 and he flourishes there, and someone else, like there's you don't know exactly if you take him out, it's not like for like, some things will obviously change, but all you can say for sure is he's playing, he's scoring goals, he's getting them draws. Yeah, he's not. This is the thing when I said he's saving them. He didn't say he's like carrying them. He said he's saving them from a worse phase. Like he's barely keeping them alive, which obviously isn't great from Roy Keane's perspective. But I mean, I don't know what it is that he seems to look at him as the only decent player and say, nah, he's not fit to be Man United captain. It's like, what do you want?
I mean, I saw a thing earlier. So he's on like, I don't know what the number is off the top of my head, but it's like 12 goals, 13 assists or something like that. And the only players with more goal contributions in the league this year are Haaland and Salah. And again, Man United are in 14th. Do you know how mad that is that he's able to do that still? Like, if it wasn't for him, they'd be doomed. They'd be battling Ipswich. They'd be going point for point with them.
Yeah, because I don't think it's, whatever the end of the Ten Hag thing obviously wasn't working. And I don't know if they had down tools or they just lost faith in the manager. But like, since Amron's come in, it feels like the only players who can actually do what he wants and do well in that system is Fernandes and Diallo. Diallo's obviously injured now as well. So, it's not like, say, someone like Zirkzee or Casemiro isn't trying. But they either don't have the legs anymore or the IQ in some cases maybe to carry out and be successful in it, except for Hernandez. And it's like, to go at him, be like, he's not captain material. It's like, he's the last person. Surely he should be. And that's literally what it says, like, oh, well, who do you start with? Oh, you can't start a young lad because he's a young lad. I would start him. It's not good enough. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's just, that's the free kick he scored, to put them ahead. And I don't know. You kind of think, what's he talking? Like, Keane's got things wrong loads of times. And he's definitely gone over the line. The one thing I'm thinking of is when he did that impression of Maguire apologising.
Yeah.
That was insane,
Yeah, it nearly ended the man's career.
That was probably one of the worst things. Like, if you're playing for Man United and Roy Keane's like, oh, I'm Harry Maguire. Oh, sorry. Pathetic. Like, on national television. How do you get up in the morning after that,
Yeah, that's because all he's doing is, it's like a rallying cry to the Man United, like the thicker Man United fans out there, to be like, no, you're right. Send them the abuse. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, you could have said the more influenceable Man United fans, but I respect Taker.
Taker is the word.
Oh God, he put them ahead, and then it was kind of Man United were kind of dominant after that a little bit. I mean, again, there was no like a lot of quality. It wasn't a lot of quality on display. I feel like but they definitely had the better of the chances. We'll say in the second half.
Yeah, Raya was unbelievable. He had a really good game, especially in the second half. But again, it's like, they got so many chances, but that's been a big United problem all season. It's like, they can create chances, but their biggest issue is their front three is crap. You know what I mean? It's just compared to other teams in the league, they don't really have lads who consistently score or get assists. None of the front three really do that, except for Ahmad when he was there.
Yeah. Holland, to me, strikes me as someone who will have success after Man United.
100%.
They bought him for big money, and he's 19, 20. And you always kind of overvalue youth because it's like, oh, they have so much years to get better.
Yeah. If he's this good now, imagine in 10 years, they say.
Yeah, that's it. Whereas you buy him as 27, it's like, he's only got 3 years left. He's as good as he's going to be. Holding could be as good as he's going to be. But I think the pressure is immense on him. Do you remember when he went on that long run of not scoring in the Premier League? He scored in the Champions League loads, but he wasn't scoring in the Premier League. And then he got that goal. And he like had this like convulsion of like muscle spasms when he scored. And he kind of celebrating on his own. Like the players were around him, his teammates were around him, but he was celebrating for himself. You could see he was like, yes, I did it. I broke the curse that was on me that I couldn't score. Like that's all he cared about. He was like, finally, it wasn't like, yes, we got a goal back he was like, yes, now I've done it. Like I won't be a meme anymore. Not this week anyways. That's all he cared about. I think the pressure on him might be a bit much to be like a guy who needs to save Man United. It's a big ask for anybody. Like you are you're going to be in an Adidas ad with two other star boys. You might say the future of the club. That's kind of what we hope you to be. To kind of bring us back to the 90s if you can, just by scoring goals. I think it's too much pressure for him, but I don't think he's a bad player. It's just when he got chances in that game, it was like, oh, you're better than that, surely. Like, you're not that bad. Like
he's overthinking.
Because you've seen him score goals for Man United before, But it's just he's got it in his head so much. It's like, no, he's going to leave probably. They'll probably, buy someone eventually, and he'll put the sidelines and he'll go to Leverkusen. So, something like that. He'll score rake of goals, get a move to Napoli, maybe Atletico Madrid. So he'll be back, because he is young. But I just think he's never going to do it, Man United. mean, the good news is you're young. The bad news is this is never going to happen for you, Man United.
And like, if you think of the last 10 years, all the players who actually have done well at United, and there really hasn't been too many of them, the majority of them are like, you could think them, you think, that guy's a psycho. Like Zlatan, psycho. Pogba, pretty mental. He didn't even do that well, but he had good times. Do you know what I mean? Like Eric Bailly, psycho. Like all these Herrera.
Did Eric Bailly do well?
He did all right. Like it was the grand scheme of things.
I remember him being injured a lot.
He was.
I remember him skinned by anyone decent. I don't know if Eric Bailly is on that list.
But you know what I mean? Of like when you think of the lads who had okay moments or like maybe won a trophy or stuff.
The ones I can think of are lads who were already good, who came to United at the end, like Cavani, Ibrahimovic. They had literally nothing to prove. So they were like, oh, Man United needs to win a league again. Literally, they could look you in the eye and say, I couldn't care less. I'm here because my agent, had some fancy negotiation footwork and has got me somehow 90 grand a week to play for Man United at 35 years of age, and that's what I'm going to do. Like, they didn't care about bringing them back. They didn't care about, maybe this Europa League will be the stepping stone. Yeah, they were just clocking in and clocking out and smashing in goals, But young players with the pressure of the entire club, like, bring us back to the good times.
Please.
That's too much for anybody. It's too much, Yeah. It was too much for Januzaj. It was too much for Pogba. It was too much for so many players, who tried to take on too much. And I don't know where you go. I mean, maybe it has to be a point where Man United shrinks as a club with the expectation just as like a distant memory. Like, I don't remember when I was winning leagues.
Yeah.
It's like, I was 50 years ago, Like,
don't worry about it. We just play on a game by game way here.
just do your best out there, son, That's all we want. But it's hard to do that, like, because if there is like a bit of we're doing well again, it's we're back, we're so back, it's so over, we're so back. It's that constant cycle of you've ruined this club. To yes, we're back. Ollie's at the wheel. Yeah. It's kind of hyperbole. So they're never going to have it. You just need people who are, like I say, absolute sociopaths, only care about themselves. They go on the pitch thinking, I can't wait to score a goal for myself today.
me FC. That's what I want, baby. And again, like you think of watching that game, we were going through the highlights there before the podcast, catching up. Gary Neville humming and hawing at every chance. Shut up. You're the problem here as well. Like, again, anytime Haaland misses a chance, he's straight on the mic. Not good enough. I know he's not good enough.
Yeah, there's that one there, I think it was Mazraoui. He came up and had a strike at Raya, and there was no people save. Just like it's stuck his shin out, made himself big, all you can do, but like that's harder to do than it looks. And yeah, on the replay, Neville goes, actually, that will go down as a miss, not a save. It's like, what, statistically? What you mean? It was saved, Maybe it was going wide, I don't know, but it looked like it was going the goal from my fucking viewing of the replay. But it's just that kind of negativity, like, he should score.
Yeah.
It's like he didn't. It was saved by a goalie, a professional one. He's like, give him a break.
It's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting to watch them do it. And the lower Man United fall in the table, the more it feels like, why am I still listening to Gary Neville on every fucking 5 minutes of show? We talked about this the whole time, but it's like, it made sense when they were kind of challenging for stuff and they were up there. But now it's like the ratio of Man United TV to how much anyone actually gives a fuck about Man United is way off now.
Yeah, but they did have that with Liverpool for a while. Although Liverpool were, I was saying, they were winning like cups and stuff and kind of getting mid-table. There's just a lot of ex-Liverpool players who needed a job as a pundit, and now there's a lot of ex-Man United players who need a job as a pundit. So yeah, it's just these people need jobs. Well, it's their livelihood we're talking about here.
And God knows They're not going to get a job at Manchester United with big Ratcliffe at the helm.
Well, yeah, that's it. You know, there's not many free handouts, cushy ambassadorial jobs going at the moment. They're all taken or being let go. Big Jim was, I don't know who he was talking to, but
I think it was the BBC.
Maybe Amron is kind of rubbed off him, but he's saying exactly what's happening now. He's just being very, very frank. If you think about Manchester United as a business, it's gone off the rails. It's gone off the rails a long way, really. If you look at the numbers were very scary, really, because that's sort of lost control. I think of where the ship was headed and the costs had got out of control. If you think of it in really simple terms, you've got an operating costs, which are the staff and the fixed costs and running of the business, and then you've got the squad costs, player salaries, player purchases. In super simple terms, the club has been spending more money than it's been earning now for the last 7 years, and it ends in a very difficult place. The place it ends at, that place ended at the end of this year, the end of 2025, with the club running out of cash. So he's trying to get across to this interviewer that there's no money left, that they've been spending more than they're making for the last 7 years, and there's no money left. And to illustrate that point, he talked about transfers, Will, and who they're going to buy this summer. Which,
savage, unreal.
Always
who are we going to get?
Music to the ears of most fans when they hear the owner saying we're going to buy big this summer. This summer, we'll buy Anthony, Jadon Sancho, Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, Rasmus Holland, Andre Onana. They're all about 17 million each, because that's what's outstanding on the transfer of those payments. If we buy nobody else, we're buying those players. So it's one of those things when you think of a player being bought, you think like the money's transferred into your account, into like a Cayman Islands account.
They hand over a big bag, a big bag with a dollar sign.
Oh, a big bag even back in the day, yeah. But I guess a lot of these things are installments. So how many players was they named there? Anthony, Sancho, Casemiro, Martinez, Holland, Onana. 6 players at 17 million each.
Yeah.
What's the math on that, Will?
Let me get my calculator out here. 6 players, you said?
102 million.
That's a lot of money.
I think that's right. I'll do my calculator. 17. I'll do the zeros and all just to be sure.
We're doing a lot of maths on the podcast lately.
102 million. Man United will spend this summer, Will.
On players that aren't even there anymore.
On players that are on loan at other clubs. On Casemiro, which is pretty funny, I guess, given his recent form. Andre Onana, another star of the of the new Amron era. Holland, who we're talking about, who I have said it's not going to work out, but it might work out somewhere else. I mean, these aren't even the good players, Will. These aren't players that are playing well. These are the players who are, probably going to have to be sold to. I mean, Anthony on loan.
Lisandro
Sancho
Martinez is out for the season with his second major injury, probably done forever, really.
He'll never be the same. Rasmus Holland, still young. Andre Onana, out there. I mean, you see this, and then you see, why the hell are they selling Kobe Mainoo?
Yeah.
Pure profit for one, because he's a youth product. I guess, given these startling financial figures, they are just trying to steady the ship financially first. That's all the cuts, all the job losses. They're going to spend 102 million on players they already have and aren't playing well. I mean, that's a bad situation to be in. I mean, is this Ed Woodward's fault? Is he out there somewhere?
I don't even think so. Because if you think, I think nearly every one of the players on that list is post Woodward. I think it's whoever the last guy was. Is it Murtaugh, whatever that guy's name was? The guy who went to the pub and was secretly filmed.
Yeah.
You remember that guy?
Immediately caught out by the fans.
Yeah.
There was protests actually, wasn't there, at the stadium?
There was Glazers protests, which is like I understand they're right to be protesting the Glazers, but it is funny after the club has been bought, not 100%, but it is funny when there's a new owner, he's doing all these cuts and stuff, and you're still protesting the thing from like 20 years ago. It's like they haven't even fixed that problem yet, and we're not even on to the new guy.
Well, like, if you protest a politician, right? You're like, oh, fuck, looks like a lot of people out there, maybe they won't vote for me. You know, you don't have a vote in this. So as you say, it's been, 20 years? Like, we're not happy. It's like, we still show up at the games, you know?
The only protest, it's funny, it worked in a way, was, remember they got the Liverpool game cancelled. They all went on the pitch.
Yeah.
And I think a week after that, they bought Casemiro as a like, fine, here's Casemiro, which is now, as you just said, financially crippled the club.
Yeah, well, they were protesting like bad decisions. that was part of it. It was like, yeah, I guess part of it was like, oh, you're taking all the money for yourselves. Like, here, look, here's a terrible investment. You know, how about that?
Happy now, idiots.
Remember the article has been like, he's the most important signing since Cantona. He's the new Cantona. He's going to be a Cantona-like signing. Do you remember, like, that's the kind of like hyperbole like the associate with Man United. Anytime anything happens, good, bad, or like just okay, it's a story. It's like something. This is huge. But yeah, I think the whole Glazers thing, or protesting the owners, like I say, it's not an election, so you can't just show up and go, we're not happy, because they'll just pretend that they we hear you, but they don't care. You know, you have to like either get the game shut off, get the game cancelled, or like every not show up to the stadium, and then they'll use the tickets. But you won't, because there's like tourists from Ireland over there.
They would rather the regular fans don't go and they replace them with people who don't know how much the tickets are supposed to cost. They'd love that.
Yeah, or who go like twice a year. It's like, well, it's worth it for twice a year. You know, it's a big day out. You know,
they'd love that.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's any point to that, other than just like get blown off some steam, maybe. You know.
What else are you supposed to do? Just you can't just sit there in silence. I do get that. Like, if your whole life is Man United and you're like a match going fan, you go every single weekend, you must just be so fucked up of it all.
Oh yeah, it's not a good time to be a Man United fan. Definitely not. I guess it's not as bad to be an Arsenal fan, but it's not good either.
Yeah, it's an interesting time because
it's relative, I suppose. Isn't
yeah.
it?
But it's probably not too bad to be an Arsenal fan. Being Arteta himself at the moment, probably very stressful.
Yeah. But Arteta, obviously, he's brought this club back from obscurity. Well, you know, they were languishing in Europa League places. They hadn't played the Champions League in years. Was it? Well, last year was the first year they hadn't. It was some crazy number that I forget. Will I forget how many years it was? But how quick people forget. 3 years in a row you finish second and people call you a loser.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Harsh world we live in. And I guess the blame is being laid at his door for the signings. It's all about the players that he didn't bring in. I mean, should we just play the clip?
Yeah. It's not a great clip though, because it's a lot of, as you'll hear, a lot of silence.
You got to read in between the lines here. And it's a visual clip, because this is Arteta storming out of an interview after being asked some pretty rude questions, in my opinion.
And do you regret not signing a striker in January? Perhaps that extra player? No, it's not about that?
No, it's not about that.
Okay. Miguel, one more.
Yeah.
I have to ask you about the title race, because it's 15 points now. Is it too much? Right.
Game's gone. The journalism game is gone. What kind of whack questions were they? It's bullshit, Will.
I mean, stopping someone mid-storm out to ask them another question that you know is going to make them even angrier is great work, I will say, because you know they're going to hate this.
Yeah, well, this is there. You go. You've given up the game there. You know, before you could say, "I'm just asking questions," but now everyone can see you're enjoying this. You know, you're kicking him out while he's down here. You know, you don't need these questions answered.
Arteta, one more. What about the 16 points? That's a lot of points, isn't it?
Rude. It's just rude, Will. I don't know. I think you look at this season and it is very disappointing for Arsenal. But you know, if you say that he's a Pep disciple, and you know the kind of controlled element and the very formulaic style of play, Odegaard to Saka to cut it back to somebody in the box, it's just like, where would City be if all they had during those great years was Aguero and De Bruyne? If there wasn't Mahrez and Dzeko and Wilfred Boney on the, like, that's why they had all those players. You know what I mean? Because if you have just one kind of way of attacking and two players to do it all, like I don't know if there's a single player who plays like 38 games a season, 90 minutes, 7+ Champions League games, all the cup games. I mean, no one does it. You need the squad. So like, and Aguero and De Bruyne got injured plenty over the season. But like, if they had nobody to fill those 6 games in between, they would have fallen away every year, just like Arsenal.
It's funny. Do you know who the only player I can think of who genuinely plays 95% of the games every season is? The man who's not captain material, Bruno Fernandes. He's the only one I can think of who plays constantly.
Yeah. No, well, it's not even like I having to go at the Arsenal players.
No, yeah.
It's just that
your legs can only do so much.
It's just there's a lot of games, always has been, you know, and you get injured, and if you're a good player, you'll be, you know, targeted and stuff like that. But like if your whole game plan revolves around Odegaard getting the ball to Saka and Saka doing something with it, which if you look at the stats, like they're who passed each other, they were the most frequent kind of link up in the Arsenal play over the last 3 years. And once Odegaard went to at the start of the season, it was like, they're half the team they were. And he came back, and then Saka left. It's like, yeah, that whole thing is gone again. There was nothing else. Like, if you're going to play, you need someone to be able to come in and fill that role. And I think that's where you might lay the blame at Arteta. The whole like buying a striker thing, yeah, that was maybe a miscalculation. Maybe we thought we'd be fine with Havertz. He's done well. He's getting better. He'll be even better this season. Like I say, maybe just a miscalculation. But
well, I mean, you would think though, what are the odds of Jesus and Havertz both being out for the rest of the season? Like, that is very unlucky, to be fair. Even with all the games, both of them is crazy.
Yeah, and like I say, if you had bought, say, Watkins or Isak in the summer, you probably would have had to sell one of Jesus or Havertz, which would have been tough sells to anybody, I think. So I don't know if it was even a financial thing. It was like, it won't work. You're like, we're not going to sell these players for the money it would cost to get the striker in. And then he said, okay, fine, I can make it work. We don't know these things, but he seemed pretty mad at the kind of suggestion that like you should have bought strikers. Like, you don't fucking get it, you know?
yeah. We're still paying for the last 5 transfers this summer.
Because like, he's not all down to Arteta. There's obviously people telling him that, no, you can't buy Ollie Watkins for that money. No, of course not. Like, it's not going to work. Because, you know, unless you can sell Jesus for 30 million, you're not buying him for 90, you know? It's just, you know, we're paying this at 70 million a time every summer for the next 10 years. You know, we can't be doing this. So I don't know. It maybe it's just frustration that like it is now. I mean, like we were calling it over when they beat Leicester 3 weeks ago. Like, it's over. Like, you can't. They're not going to do this every week. I mean, did they sell Eddie Nketiah this summer?
Yes, they did. I think, who does he play for now?
Palace.
Crystal Palace? I could be wrong.
Because he scored against Arsenal. Remember, he did the time thing? That was this season. Like, that was maybe a mistake. Like, people make mistakes, of course. If I'm going to be like super like, you know, splitting hairs over this, you can look at some transfers and go, yeah, maybe he didn't have the best summer transfer. But like, I think maybe the biggest thing is the way they play. And there's no, once Saka goes, like, it all falls apart. It's like, you have to see that as a major problem because he could get injured, suspended, or anything, and then, you know, it's over. And that's all it took.
Yeah, I mean, like, the corners situation seems to just stop dead as soon as Saka got injured because it's just like, it was foolproof until one of the cogs in that perfect machine you'd found fell away. It's like, right, that's huge. That is like a guaranteed goal or two a game that's now gone.
Is taking a corner one of the most underrated skills in the game? Because
it feels like it.
Because like, you see someone take a corner and they hit the first man and you're like, oh, come on, not good enough, you know?
They were trying. They weren't trying to do that.
But like, everyone just, oh, come on, just kick it in there, you know? Everyone assumes like it's an easy thing to do. Just kick it onto your man's head from the corner. Just pop it right on there, you know?
Just avoid the keeper and the defenders onto one of our own, yeah.
Yeah, there's a 6'6" keeper running at full tilt into where the ball is going to go. Keep away from him. keep away from the keeper. Fucking hell. No, bend it. You gotta
Curl
bend
it out.
it in.
Curl it out.
Out and in, up and down, out and in. It's simple. Just kick it in. You know, when you see them hit the first man, it's the most frustrating thing. It's like, oh, they should be docked wages for hitting the first man. It's kind of like a consensus, like it's the easiest thing in the world, but I mean, no one can do it consistently except for, you know, very few. And like when players like, you know, David Beckham, who are great set pieces, we celebrate them. But like when people who can't, it's like, you fucking donkey, you know, just put it exactly where you wanted to put it.
Like if it was as easy, I think, as people make it out, there would be, I mean, teams would celebrate every corner kick like a goal because it'd be guaranteed. It's like, he's going to put it on my head now. And it's like, what am I going to do? Miss? No, it's going to be a perfect corner every time.
Yeah. Seems like a penalty or free kick as well. It's like, you know, there's pressure is involved. You know, you're tired. You're trying to do something that you're overthinking it. Maybe you change your mind last second. I don't know what it is, but corners seems to be very hard. Yeah, we all seem to think it's very, very easy. But yeah, Arsenal is a good example of actually they have one, maybe two players in the squad who can do it consistently. And everyone else, like, it's up in the air. See what happens. I'll just kick it. Be careful. This might go the wrong way, so be ready to get back. You know,
do I hit it in the box or what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is it now for Arsenal. This league is over at this point. It's Champions League or bust. But is it bust? And who's it bust for?
You said that like a news report.
We go to Will with more on the story.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Again, we talk about the whole time where the expectations just, they slowly shift. Well, they actually quickly shift season on season. You told an Arsenal fan like 3 or 4 years ago, you're going to be consistently second over the next few years. You'd be like, unbelievable. And we're in the Champions League as well. It's like, yeah, you're actually doing really well in that too. Amazing. Yep, I'll take that. But it's just when it does happen, you go, oh, we're worse than we were last year, even though we're still second. But it's just like, oh, we don't have a hand on the title, which is a lot of the time as well. It's like, Liverpool have Salah, you don't. That's basically this year. That's what this season's boiled down to.
Yeah, Liverpool have been pretty good, to be fair. But I think, yeah, from an Arsenal fan perspective, it's probably like, you know, we're going to have to rebuild, aren't we? You know, we're going to have to start from nothing again, which no one wants to do. Everyone wants to think you're right there. Just one more transfer, just like a striker and a left back, and we're there. Yeah. We have it. We've done it. We're champions again. No one wants to hear, yeah, do you know what? Some of those players probably just not good enough, you know. Especially players like, say, Martinelli, where it's like he was young and he was going to be great. It's like, he might not be. He might not be good enough. You know, maybe he just had that one good season. Maybe he's kind of a decent player, but not good enough for Arsenal. Which is like a really, like, he's not injured. He's not like, you know, bad tempered. He's not like a loose cannon. It's just like, oh, it's a really tough truth to face, which no one wants to face these things. Like, I don't know. That's I think the tough part is like, you're not as good as this Liverpool side is. Chelsea and City will be back as well, and you know, it might be another like 3 or 4 years, and if it is, it'll be a different team. That's just the facts.
So I don't know if you remember or if you've heard about Arteta's, you know, the way he has it all worked out in phases. That's how he gets to the league title. He was asked yesterday, what phase are we in now in his 5-point plan? And Arteta replied, we're in phase 4 to 5. And then he detailed, establishing yourself at the highest level in the Champions League, consistently perform with a lot of unity, and being very close to touching big trophies. So it's all it's going to plan, Carl. This is phase 4 to 5.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Not for the first time. We're right on schedule. It's all coming together nicely.
I like that. I like that in his phase plan. It's like almost win. It's like, you don't need to explain that part. Don't say that when you're reading out the phases.
I think it's a good plan. I like the plan. You know, get there slowly but surely. You know, phase by phase. But it like I say, it's the stuff around it. It's like people start to brand you as like a loser or like a bridesmaid or, you know, a perennial runner up. You know, which they won't say that in your plan because, like, why would they? That's not fair, and it's not nice. But they will.
Phase 5, humiliation.
Yeah, that's not going to be in there. Phase 6, dealing with humiliation, overcoming. Like maybe it is more detailed. Maybe just not giving us those details away. Maybe it's all this planned, but it's just for certain players like I've just had to go there, Martinelli, like unprovoked. I mean, I'm sure he listens to the show. I'm sure he does.
Yeah, they all do.
He's probably thinking, "What the fuck? I thought we were friends."
Yeah.
Why are you having to go with me? How was it my fault? And again, it's like it's not his fault. The way Arsenal are doing well is not your fault. But I think if you get branded as kind of like you're never going to win it, it can be tough to kind of get over that, And then it's like someone who is good enough and is playing well and is not the problem for sure. Someone like, say, Saliba, they have to go, maybe we are never going to win it, And then his agent goes, well, this club's interested. And he goes, fuck, maybe I should go. Like that's not going to be in the plan. If they just stayed on the plan and lived in a vacuum of like, no, we're getting there, and then they'll get over the line, sure. But I think it's the outsized noise, and it's different for a club like Arsenal versus, say, Man United or, say, Nottingham Forest. The expectation is different for all those clubs in different ways, but it's there for all of them. Once you, like, I think we we're talking before about Aston Villa, like how great it is now that they're come back and in the Champions League and they've done it the right way or whatever, haven't had a huge investment, but if we're still doing it the right way in 10 years and won nothing, that's what people will say. They'll say, you won nothing. You're losers, because that's what sports discourse is. If you don't win, you're a loser. Simple as. You first, you last. Yeah. It's not fair. It's not even like correct or factually accurate, but these kind of things can seep in and you have to be like a rock solid unit to like not let that affect you. So, yeah, look, congratulations for reaching phase 5.
4.25, we're not at 5 yet.
Well, 4.6 or wherever they're at. But I'm telling you, like, it's 3 seasons in a row, coming second. They're going to be like, they're never going to do it. Like that guy in work who said, oh, yeah, set your clock by Arsenal fucking up. I was like, what you mean? Like, it's been 3 seasons. What are you talking about? But people just take this stuff and run with it.
If you think as well, like, again, the phase thing, it's just the way it's phrased that it sounds kind of funny, but I'm sure there's more to it than that. It is a lot of detailed planning, but it is just like when you hear Arteta or Arsenal, they're like, right, phase 4 to 5. Now we're coming near the Champions League. We're doing this. When you think Man City are like, we should spend £250 million and buy 6 players this season. That'll do it. And then they probably win the league next year. Do you know what I mean? It's like your phase system only works if everyone else stays exactly where they are, where a lot of them aren't. They're just going to immediately spend hundreds of millions and leapfrog you. They'll jump straight to phase 6.
Well, I'd imagine, Will, Arteta would tell you that you worry about things you can't control, my friend. We can only worry about things that we can control. We have our phases. This is our plan. This is what we do. I mean, look, when you're managing like this, you have to make it sound technical. You have to make it sound like a science that you don't understand. I understand it. That's why you pay me the money. We're in the phases. And then you say, what about other teams? Don't worry about things you can't control. Okay, worry about yourself. Worry about what you can do for this club. And I'll worry about what I can do for this club. And we'll all get on fine. You have to make it sound smart. Otherwise, you go, I hope not. I hope they don't spend that much money.
That's the Amarim school.
The Amarim school of some people say this can save our season. I disagree. Nothing can save our season. Like that's the honest approach. Honesty is the best policy for some, but I think for someone like Arteta, and I would venture to say Alonso as well. I'd say he has that kind of speak in him as well. You got to make it sound like a consultant. You need you need the jargon, the lingo to make it sound like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. I mean, I certainly don't.
Yeah, it's like if you listen to, we've talked about it off the pod loads. If you listen to a Joe Rogan episode where he's talking about something you don't know, and you go, this guy's pretty smart. It's when he starts talking about things you really look into it, you go, oh, now I get it. He's tricking me.
Yeah, the one thing you know about is like full of like, that's not what happened at all. Why are you saying that? Why you can't just ask it a question and pretend like you're not saying it? Yeah, I'd love for it to work out for Arteta. I think it'd be great, but it's just, you feel like there's something kind of lacking there. You know, I don't know, because the way they're linked with Watkins and Isak, I didn't get them. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What was this? You know, because you spent the money for Rice. You know, you spent huge money for Rice. You spent big money for Ramsdale, like relatively to what, you know, a goalie who's been relegated 2 times would have got you. Because you felt like this is the one, and we need this one. You know, there's something that would, like Watkins or Isak, they're like, don't think want to fit the system. You know, it's like, oh, they'd make any team better, genuinely. And if they don't fit the system, you make the system fit them because, you know, they're that good. So for that to be some kind of stumbling block, it's like, well, it's not like he doesn't know how to spend money or doesn't know how to say to the board, this is important. To get Declan Rice is important, you know. But I don't know. I guess he was big stuff on the bottom. Maybe they looked at Isak and went, is he that good? You know?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. And it's funny, we were talking about Amram there for a sec of his school of honesty. I will say, I wonder, did Arteta's storm out have to do with things he was hearing in the media all week, in the build-up to the game? Because Amram, we might not be giving him enough credit, because maybe he's saying things, you know, there's a deeper meaning to it. He's trying to get in people's heads with some stuff. Because Amram was asked, like, you know, Arteta's had a lot of time at Manchester United, but do you like that? And he said, yeah, Arteta's the blueprint.
Oh, yes.
I won't get the time Arteta has had, though. And you can look into that in a lot of different ways. Like, what do you mean by that? I know you mean you won't be here long, but do you think he shouldn't have been there either?
Well, I for that, he's already saying to the board, like, you know, look at the success he's had at turning the club around. You know, wouldn't you kill to be challenging for second? But listen, he had lots of time. I probably won't get the time. You know, so he's saying, yeah, like he's the blueprint. He's a inspiration. I think he's an inspiration.
Yeah, I think so.
You know,
which again seems condescending.
No, I don't think it's condescending. I think it's genuinely like trying to hype up what a great job Arteta did so that he gets the same amount of time. Which, as you were saying, it's the one thing they haven't tried. Just been like, just let this hit rock bottom. Let this get right to the bottom and build it back up again. And doesn't matter how badly we do, just let him do what he needs to do. So I think that's what he was angling towards. Like, I won't get the time, obviously, because, you know, this is a bigger club than Arsenal. So kind of like giving the kudos to, like, they might not be huge, you know, they can't afford that almost, you know. But if they did, I would do what Arteta did. So you probably won't, because I know why. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying if you did, I would be exactly like that. We would be exactly like that, which you would love. That's, in my mind, what I heard when he said it.
Do you think Arteta heard that, or do you think he went, that prick?
I think Arteta, again, another master of manipulation, was like, oh, nice play.
Oh, excellent.
Knight to rook 7. I like your style. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter because both clubs are soon going to be in a bidding war for the new hottest manager, the formerly new hottest manager, career destroyed, back again, new hottest manager, Frank Lampard, folks.
He's not gone. I will say, I'm pretty sure, no nonsense Hall of Famer. I don't have the list. I don't remember where I saved it as, but I think he's one of them. He's in the notepad.
Frank Lampard, forgotten, not gone. I think he'd fall into that's category. We talk about him all the time. I feel like
all the time.
Every week we had a Frank Lampard segment. It was mad. Let's just do a quick recap on Frank Lampard's managerial career. Derby, you know, discovers Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham. Does unbelievably well. Gets to do playoffs, you know, and it's like, wow, this Frank Lampard is a good manager as a player? ? You know, he thinks so. Because Chelsea say, listen, we want you, Frank, to be the manager of Chelsea. I think, very sure in saying Abramovich was still head honcho at that time.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And they're, of course, good friends, good pals. So it's just a guy doing a favor for another guy, you know. And this is during the transfer ban, if you remember correctly, as well. So they couldn't sign anybody, but they could recall Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, who were on loan at Derby, because that's obviously how they got Derby, because Frank Lampard, the Chelsea connection. It all made sense, you know.
Yeah.
Frank Lampard was now Chelsea manager. He's going to win the league with Chelsea. He's going to be like, you know, Kane Dalglish or And another player manager type guy. You know, someone who's a good manager, good player. Not many of them, but
This was in the era of the player man, like the ex-legend managing club. Ollie started it, then Frank. There was a lot of talk of Gerrard to
Pirlo.
Liverpool. Pirlo, yeah, it was kicking off all over the place, and I think Gerrard's stint at Aston Villa really killed it for everyone.
yeah, I mean, everyone was bad except for Arteta. Really, is the only one left. You know, I think Inzaghi is still doing all right, but I think he may have been even before that whole run. But definitely Pirlo was not liked at Juventus. I remember seeing a tweet which I translated. It was a picture of Pirlo, and it was like, "Tactics, no, just wine."
What the hell could that mean?
And there's a picture of Pirlo drinking wine as they're like losing 3-0 to fucking Bologna or whatever, you know. But yeah, anyways, Frank Lampard gets in. Timo Werner is the worst player in the world, and he can't get him to play football. So is Kai Havertz. They're awful, you know. And it's not Frank's fault. Maybe it's Frank's fault. People aren't really sure. Like, they do look bad. Is that all Frank's fault? Anyways, they get rid of him, bring in Thomas Tuchel, who's been great at Dortmund, not so great at PSG, but you know, he managed to get a tune out of the Germans. They win the Champions League. Frank Lampard looks like an idiot. It's like, this team won the Champions League. You couldn't get them to fucking fourth place. And he goes to... Does he go somewhere? He goes to Everton.
Yes.
Disaster. Absolute disaster.
We said it even before he went. We said this is going to be a disaster.
Who was he at? Was he at...
When
he got sacked from Chelsea, I said he's going to, by the end of the season, he'll be back in the Premier League, because that's how the Premier League works. Clubs say he was manager of Chelsea. I didn't watch any games, but I mean, they're a pretty good club. Didn't
they won the Champions League.
Yeah. And literally, it happened. Everton hired him back. He signed Dele Alli and Donny van de Beek. It was unmitigated success, because I stayed up, of course.
Yes.
And he was dancing on the rooftops. You know, people forget that first bit of it.
Seamus Coleman was the best man he ever met in his life.
Frank Lampard looked like he had a drink for the first time in 20 years and was immediately just drunk off the fumes of it. And yeah, from then it was a bad season the next season. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. And that was just peak Everton blues. That was just really bad play. Couldn't sign any players. The players they had weren't trying very hard. All this kind of bad stuff happening. He gets sacked by them. And who did he go to after that?
He went to Chelsea. He was caretaker manager there.
Yes, that's what it was. Another favour for Chelsea. He gets brought in after Tuchel's been sacked, of course. So Abramovich is gone. Tuchel is gone. Todd Bowley says, "Hey, this guy's pretty good. I think he won the Champions League with Chelsea."
Yeah. Hey, he kept Everton up.
This guy's a pro. This guy's a stud. He brings him in, and again, it's like, this guy doesn't have it. You know, great player. He's been lucky as a manager somehow, but he's done. And that was what we thought the last of Frank Lampard as a manager. We thought that's a bad way to go out, but I mean, he's definitely going out. He can't go back to this. He's a good-looking guy, very personable. He'll make it as a pundit, you know, alongside his cousin, Jim Redknapp, you know. But here we are, Will, March 2025. Well, I mean, before we go that, we've got to jump back in time once more to November 2024. Tim Robbins, I think. Not Tim Robbins.
Mark Robbins.
Mark Robbins. Not Tim Robbins. His brother, Mark. Brother of the famous comedian Tim Robbins. Mark Robbins is let go by Coventry City after, I guess, a bad start in the championship. They're 17th, languishing relegation. And they say, "Hey, what about Frank Lampard? He won the Champions League with Chelsea."
Yeah.
And he
won the Champions League with Chelsea. He stayed up with Everton. He went back to 2 stints at Chelsea.
You don't get hired by Chelsea for being a bad manager. Not twice, anyways. So they hire him. And you think, oh God, you know, they've really done it now. But that was November. This is March. They've gone from 17th to 5th. They're banging attention for the the playoffs. I don't know if they can get to the automatic promotion.
I know it looks a bit far off. Leeds and Sheffield are on 76 points each at the top.
Yeah. But listen, will you cast your mind back to fucking to November when that joker, Mark Robbins, the brother of a comedian, was in charge? They weren't thinking about, playoffs or automatic qualification. Now they are thinking about playoffs. They're right in it. And it's deja vu, just like Derby again. Now this thing, right? Frank Lampard scored all the goals, a lot of assists, great player, Chelsea, England, all that stuff. What did you hear about Frank that was different about him than other footballers?
Oh, jeez. I don't know. That was sort of how he was a very clever player. He was always thinking 2 steps ahead. Yeah.
He was very smart. He done well in his A-levels. He'd actually done A-levels. He'd focused on his studies as well as playing football. Smart guy, sharp cookie.
Yeah.
This Frank Lampard. It is possible to learn from mistakes, I guess. He's obviously made a lot of mistakes. He probably jumped the gun going from Derby to Chelsea. That was probably a bridge too far. But, he's back now, literally in the same position he was in 2019, 6 years ago. Championship side in a playoff run. They may not get there. They may agonizingly lose again. There's lots of clips from going around doing the Klopp celebration, punching the crowd. He's loving it.
I was going to say, you sent that to me earlier, that video of him doing the Klopp thing, and it was like watching a video from another dimension. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Bizarro world where Frank Lampard is a beloved manager somewhere. Yeah. Well, it's this world, Will. We're living in it. It's happening in real time. He's linked with Rangers. He's linked with Man City long term. I saw that he could be the long term replacement for Pep Guardiola. I mean, he's his own little kind of Man United. Do you know what I mean? Because he's a big star. He's a big name. When he does well, people go, well, maybe he could manage England one day. It's like, whoa, hang on there, pal. He gets this kind of treatment that other managers wouldn't get because it's just like, well, we'll see how he does. And like someone like Eddie Howe, like no one even still respects Eddie Howe because it's like, well, he never kicked the ball for Chelsea, did he?
Boring.
He never scored in Champions League final, not like Frank did. You get that kind of attention when you're Frank Lampard, even as a manager. Does he jump ship in this season and go to, who could sack the manager this season? I mean, what if they said Arteta's out, Frank's in? They could do it.
Mental.
They sacked Tuchel. No, they didn't sack Tuchel. Who did they sack before they hired Frank Lampard?
Oh, good question.
Oh, 2020.
It's like a table quiz.
It wasn't.
Let me look it up.
Oh, no. Let's just
yeah,
figure out on air, Will.
All right.
2020. Okay, so what's the last Chelsea manager you remember before?
It was hardly Jose, was it? No.
The second coming of Jose was like 2014, wasn't it?
Yeah.
After Jose, who was it?
Oh, fucking hell. There's been so many.
Conte.
Was it Conte?
Oh, yeah. Conte. When was the Conte Tuchel handshake? Was that the start of this season?
No, that was last season, I think.
Last season, the longest season in the world. Remember, like this was this season, if you can believe that. So Conte won the league in 18-19, wasn't there? Some shit like that?
That's something like that.
Oh my God.
This is so hard to do.
This is impossible to do. I challenge anybody to name the last 3 Chelsea managers.
Oh, I know. Oh, yes, of course. I'm all right. I'll give you a clue. I think his last game, maybe I'm wrong here, but he won a trophy. He won a European trophy and he was crying looking down at the medal.
Rafa Benitez?
No. Sarri. Do you remember him?
Oh, Mauricio Sarri. Sarri ball, Jorginho, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So he replaced Sarri. That actually, Will, that's a spooky comparison. Sarri was like this almost guy at Napoli for years. Had a very rigid style of play, only played one way. Did all right with Chelsea, like say, won a trophy. And I said, get him out, get Frank Lampard in. It can happen at Arsenal. the comparison's there. They're right there. You know, look, we're sick this second place shite. Arteta out, Frank in. You know, just say that happens. Just say Frank gets the call and says, "Listen, we're thinking of pulling the trigger on Arteta. Would you be interested in stepping in?" Do you think Frank does that, or does he say, "You know what? I'm going to continue on for a little bit more with these guys"? Because you know, it's like they said this about David Moyes. Like, he had to take the job. He would never get offered again. You know, this kind of like this terrorism of job offerings. You know, if you don't fucking take this now, we will never call you again. You know,
United just did it to Amorim.
It's now or never. You have to take it. You'll never get this opportunity again. Frank Lampard knows, yeah, I will, if I'm good.
I'll be back at Chelsea next month, mate, if I want.
If I'm good enough, I can actually come back from this. If I'm not good enough, I'll never get offered again. And in that case, I shouldn't take the job.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
I think he's smart enough to figure that out now. I think if he does well with them, I think he could be with them the next season. I don't think he's going to jump at like Rangers or jump at, someone else. You know, when Brighton inevitably lose their manager to another club, does Frank Lampard take over? Yeah. It's like, they're not going to do that. So, yeah, look, all the best to Frank. That's my take on that, and I hope he learns from mistakes.
I'd love to see him back in the Premier League. That would be great. Great for the show when he's in it's a better league with him in it.
Yeah, no, it would. You might say now the league is done. You might be thinking maybe it is the worst league in the world now. Maybe it is the worst league ever. It is the 10th of March and it's kind of all wrapped up, but it's all right. Because we have Champo Ligo. We got Champo Ligo this week. We got a bonus episode, ultra only. Link in the description of this episode. Feel free to just walk right into those cages, and get loud, get rowdy.
Climb the cages into the ultra section.
Yeah, well, you can walk right in. There's a open gate there. There's a guy in the door.
It's not very dangerous.
Once you're in there, it's not for the faint-hearted. We say the stuff that we're not allowed to say. On the
too hot for Spotify.
It
is on Spotify if you want.
Yeah, you can get it there too. They actually do have a way that you can get it there. But it's pretty easy to walk in. Just get involved. For $50 a month, we worked out before in the pod. I forget what it is in euros, but it's less. Thanks, Trump.
Yeah, you killed our podcast enterprise.
Trump is screwing us here with this exchange rate. I think it's very tough to pretend to be up on the news, isn't it?
Oh, it's
when
you can't.
Someone said to me, "Did you see what happened in Washington the other day?" And I was like, "Oh fuck!" Now I did know what he meant. It was the Zelensky thing, but at the time, just immediately the way he said what happened in Washington, I was like, "Oh fuck." No idea, Well, I did. It's like when someone asks you a math question, your brain shuts down. Like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. Yeah, it's like. But if you want to stay up on the Champions League that's happening this week, subscribe to that. The Ultra section in the description of this episode. We cover all the stuff that happens midweek. If it's FA Cup, if it's international games. This week, as we say, it's Champions League. Who do we have in the Champions League? We have Arsenal versus PSV in the enthralling second leg of the 7-1 first leg.
Yeah, that's next week. That they're saving that. That's the main event. Tomorrow we've got Barcelona, Benfica, Inter Feyenoord, Liverpool, PSG in Anfield, and the second leg of Leverkusen, Bayern Munich.
Some good ties, I will. Much better than the Premier League.
And Arsenal PSV is on Wednesday, I've just seen.
Oh, I was thinking there's not enough teams left for next week.
I thought they were spacing them out. They're not.
See, this is the kind of thing that people say to me about, what's happened in the world. I go, fuck, you must be right, Because I just have no idea. I just take people's word for it and go, oh, okay, there you go. I guess we are under attack. I didn't think we were, but I guess Yeah, look, we'll be back on Thursday. Probably put it up Friday, I'd say.
Yeah, usually.
So yeah, look, if you want to do that, you can. If you don't want to do that, be sound and give us a 5-star fucking mark.
Yep.
On,
not really a review,
Spotify.
Is it? It's more just like a review implies that's like you're giving what you actually think of the show, but it's more a necessity that we can only give 5. So I wouldn't call it a review.
Yeah. You can
An order, maybe.
You can leave a comment as well under this if you like. You know,
Yeah. Say whatever you want.
you want to get them off your chest. There's a section there that you can.
Try us.
I bet you won't. You're what we call a Bruno Fernandes, a coward.
Yeah.
You don't have the minerals to leave a comment
Yeah.
on our Spotify page and boost us up the rankings. Just the thought of somebody sitting in their car, they're already home for the last 3 minutes, like waiting for the show to end. Just like, no, hang on, it's almost done. I'm not going to listen inside the house. I want to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah. If it's on, if they're still recording, there's probably something funny they're going to say.
There's 5 minutes left. So they're obviously going to say something. No.
There must be a bit. Maybe they'll play a Creed song or something. I don't know.
No music this month. We're getting locked in. You know, we're locked in this month.
Yeah.
No music. None of that
How are
stuff.
you doing?
Me?
No, the listener.
Oh,
You can speak after. Just let him finish first.
well, maybe I'll leave a comment.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
leave a
that-
comment. How you doing, folks? I don't know. Cut all this. Cut it all out.
No, honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense.
They say many garbage things.
You don't know what you're going to get.
Melodrama upon melodrama. This is a total, utter, shameful, disgraceful piece of nonsense.
He was miles off it yesterday.
You'll learn a lot more if you listen rather than talk all the
Plenty
time.
of time, no problem.